Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar series, A Ripple of Thoughtful Words for Communication at End of Life in Long-Term Care. Today's webinar is the third in the series, and it will be about boundless caring and service. On the right-hand side of your screen, in the handouts box, you can find a PDF with the slides with a place to write notes. And there's also a PDF with additional resources for communication at end of life. My name is Emily Farrell, and I'm the project coordinator with the Ontario Centres for Learning, Research and Innovation in Long-Term Care, or CLRI, hosted at Bruyère. This webinar series was developed in partnership with Algonquin College and is brought to you by the Ontario CLRI. We are here to support you in these trying times, and we hope that these webinars offer you support, comfort, calmness, and strength as we continue to navigate COVID-19 together. I'd now like to pass this over to Ruth Richardson, who will be leading this webinar. Ruth is a hospice palliative care nurse educator at Algonquin College, and she is the instructor behind our communication at end of life training program. So I'll pass it over to you now, Ruth.
Thanks, Emily. And thanks for taking a few moments to be with this Ripple this morning on a Friday morning here in Ottawa. It has snowed. I don't know if snow has come to you, but in the communication end of life course, we had posters around the room, and one of them said a conversation doesn't have to be long to be significant. A few thoughtful words can help a lot, and these ripples are built on that premise that they're short and hopefully they are thoughtful for you. That being said, I don't have all the answers. Another poster suggested that sometimes people don't want or need answers, they just need understanding. So this experience with us today in this Ripple is about just trying to understand maybe some of the things that we're experiencing. There's a path that we follow with every Ripple, and it's that we're going to pause for a moment as we just kind of get ready to be a part of this experience. And then we're going to spend some time being aware of our own thoughts and our own feelings, and take time to do that self-awareness piece that we all need to be more therapeutic in our relationships every day in our care. And then we'll look at a topic, and today is boundless caring and service. And then hopefully I can offer you a few practical thoughts or tips to help you with the idea of boundless caring. So let's just stop. Take a break, take a breath, and just observe your thoughts and your feelings. And to do this, I'll just ring the bell and just to spend a few minutes with your breath and maybe honor those who have died of COVID or other things. I know we've just lost our first personal support worker to COVID in Ottawa this week. And so those things are on our thoughts and our hearts. So let's just pause. Allow those last few little ripples of sound to join with your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Allow your body just to relax, for there's nothing to do in this moment but to breathe in and to breathe out. Allow your breath to calm your thoughts and your feelings. Maybe you can become mindful of what you are feeling. Maybe you're feeling anxious or worried, overwhelmed, stressed. Just acknowledge those feelings. Hold those feelings. Maybe you're feeling sad. We all experience feelings. It's what it is to be human, to experience suffering and joy. Maybe you might want to just give yourself a little kindness, to breathe in a sense of kindness. Breathe in peace. You might want to put your hand over your heart and just repeat the phrase, may I give myself the compassion I need. Reassure yourself, may I give myself the compassion that I need. I am so compassionate. I have this ability. May I give myself that compassion that I need. And take a deep breath. And be grateful that you have the capacity to do that for yourself and for others. To open your eyes and just notice now how you're feeling, giving yourself that little reassurance and encouragement. Thinking about boundless caring at first seems overwhelming, but we do it all the time. We're all in the middle of this right now. We're boundlessly caring. And I couldn't help but notice that I bought a card for my mom for Mother's Day, and this actually is the graphic off her card, and it had all these attributes, and I noticed the word kind was in there twice, and selfless and loving and inspirational and hilarious and hardworking and resilient and wonderful and compassionate. But as I looked at it in the concept of doing this ripple for us today, I recognized this card could easily be caregivers. You, personal support workers, nurses, physicians, social workers, all of us who are providing care are boundlessly caring for others, fit in the same capacity. And when I started to realize that the caring is a universal concept, and being a caregiver or offering care is universal. Rosalind Carter suggests that there are only 4 kinds of people, and she puts them into these categories: those who have been caregivers, those who currently are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who need our caring. And on this weekend, when we're caring for parents, elderly parents, those are people who have offered a lot of care, and now they're in our care, and we are boundlessly caring for them. How do we do that? That's the question. Joan Halifax, in her book, Being with Dying, Cultivating Compassion and Fearlessness in the Presence of Death, put a whole chapter to it. And she said it's involving 4 practices, and that we need to put these practices together to be healthy in our boundless caring. And I think she's very wise in putting these together in this way. So on the right-hand side, there's 2 boxes, and it's about openness to surrendering to what is, and then the courage to be present to what is. Those 2 concepts I'm really going to talk about in the next 3 ripples, because they're going to be about death and dying and loss and grief and an end of life, caring for people in long-term care. The other side of this, the other 2 practices are compassion, which we've been talking a lot about, and the strength of equanimity. Now, that might not be a word that you use a lot in your daily vocabulary, but the concept you probably are thinking about a lot, and especially now, even more so if you work in long-term care. Equanimity just means accepting the limits of what we can do and accepting how we and other people feel. So having that opportunity to be more aware of our thoughts and our feelings. And there's so much that we can do, and equanimity is saying we need to accept the limits of what we can do with any given day, with the staffing issues that we have, with putting on PPE and taking it off, and all these thoughts and feelings that we're having. We need to accept that this is where we're at. And we balance that with our desire to care for people. We see people suffering. We have a desire to be there for these people. Our hearts are just reaching out to these people. And she's saying it is a balancing act. And balancing is a little bit tucked this way and tucked that way and tucked this way. And balancing is about how do I find a sense of not falling into being totally hopeless, if it's just too much for me to do and I can't do it all, and saying, but there's so much I need to do and my heart is aching and I sit in the parking lot after my shift and cry. It's this balancing act that we have between these 2 components. So Joan talks about this, and thank God in her book, she offers us a way to do this. She offers us some points to ponder, and being a good Buddhist, she asks you to do it in a meditation. So I'm going to ask you to do this with me. So just shut your eyes, take a few deep breaths. And she's just going to give us a couple of phrases, and I'm going to read them out for you. When you're feeling that this balance isn't happening for you and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, say to yourself and repeat after me, may I accept things as they are. May I accept things as they are. May my love for others flow boundlessly. May my love for others flow boundlessly. May the power of loving kindness in me sustain me. May the power of loving kindness in me sustain me. May I remain in peace and let go of expectations. May I remain in peace and let go of expectations. May I find the inner resources to truly be able to give of my service. May I find the inner resources to truly be able to give of my service. May I offer my care and presence unconditionally, knowing that it might be met with gratitude, indifference, anger, or anguish. So may I offer my care and presence unconditionally, knowing that it might be met with gratitude, indifference, anger, or anguish. And may I love, knowing that I cannot control the course of life, suffering, or death. May I love, knowing that I cannot control the course of life, suffering, or death. Maybe placing a hand over your heart or your hand comforting on your lap, and just notice that tender touch as you ponder balancing the tenderness of your heart in response to suffering with that spacious stillness that accepts things as they are. And end this practice with a deep breath. Open your eyes and come back in and just notice how you're feeling, offering those phrases to yourself. I've written them out for you. You can go back and look at them, and it might be something you read to before you enter the building, or if you're having a difficult time, write them on a piece of paper and offer them to yourself or to others. As I read those from Joan, I was reminded of this very famous prayer that the 12-step program have, and it talks about serenity to accept things you can't change, and the courage to change what you can, and the skill is to know the wisdom to know the difference. How do we do that? My few final thoughts are from Rachel Naomi Raymond, and she has come up with a lovely way of thinking with regards to the actions of what are we doing. And I'll leave you with this little matrix of helping and fixing and serving. And these are her words. She says, how can I help? Well, maybe the question is not how can I help, but how can I serve? Fixing and helping and serving may all look similar if you're watching from the outside, but the inner experience of you and the resident is very different. The outcome is different too. For when I serve, I see and trust the wholeness in another person. I do not see them necessarily as weak or broken to be fixed. Our service serves us as well as others. That which uses us strengthens us. It's kind of like a muscle. So over time, fixing and helping are good, but they can be draining and depleting. They could even cause burnout, but service, she suggests, is renewing. And when we serve, our work itself will sustain us. For she says that service is the work of the soul, and only service heals. And healing is the basis of palliative care and whole person medicine. Mother Teresa has the basic message that when we serve life, not because it's broken, but because it is holy, we are on a sacred journey together, and we are all companions on this. And I bring you back to little Penny. Here she is, 4.5 years old, boundlessly caring for people on her street and serving, seeing people as whole and wanting to help with the healing of the world. She is out there doing what she can do, knowing her limitations. And I find that incredibly comforting and supportive. On this weekend of Mother's Day and thinking of caregiving and you being busy caring for others with your boundless caring and serving, I'd like to give you a card. I'd love to give you all a card saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for what you do. You need to know that people are grateful. And in knowing that, maybe that may serve you as you continue on boundlessly caring for others. Thanks for coming to this Ripple.
Thank you very much, Ruth. I think that this is really a great reminder to everyone that while helping and fixing definitely has its place, service is really at the forefront right now, and especially in the face of COVID-19 and palliative and end-of-life care more generally, healing is the focus, not curing, and human connection, not only just in this time of physical distancing, is really important.
I just love what Naomi Raymond does. I wish I had more time to talk about it, but you can Google her and learn about what she thinks with regards to being able to serve people, and serving will sustain us, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed with the care that we need to do and offer right now. So
exactly.
Thanks.
So I'll offer time for everyone to enter questions or any comments that they would like to share with us. We have had one question come in that says, I feel shattered after this practice. Will repeated practice make it easier and help me rebuild myself moving forward?
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that you feel shattered. You're absolutely right. You're getting in touch with what you're feeling. So you might find that this practice needs to be also offered with a sense of self-compassion, to go back to that self-compassion of giving yourself compassion, that it's okay to not be okay. To go back and look at the second ripple and some of the things that we talked about. You're getting in touch with your vulnerability. Empathetic response is a vulnerable response, and it takes courage and strength. And so, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. It's also hard to learn new practices in times of crisis, and but it's a start. And sometimes too, taking these phrases and going to someone else and having them read them to you, or saying, I need to hear this phrase. Can you say this phrase to me? I use my husband that way all the time. I've been married for over 30 years, and I often say to him, I just need to hear this and say this to me. So finding a partner that you think is great and that you admire, a mentor, and say, I need to hear these phrases. I need to instill these into my heart. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Thanks for sharing that.
It's a great idea of implementing it with a partner. Another question that's come in is, I'm having a really hard time right now and accepting the limits of what I can and can't do. I do so much in a day on the front line, and yet I still feel helpless. Do you have any practical tips on how I might overcome this?
Thanks. Feeling helpless is quite a struggle. And I'm reminded of Winnie the Pooh when he says, you know what, yeah, you are stronger than you think you are. And you have in you the capacity to do what you need to do. And you just need that affirmation that you can go forward. You also need to recognize that this is a crazy time and that you're not in this alone. Everybody's feeling these things, and that sense of calmness, and to be kind with yourself. This is tough, this is hard. And again, I go back to some of the words that I offered in the first and second ripple of being kind to yourself. And then do something that makes you laugh. Do something that gives you encouragement and gives you joy. Maybe singing and dancing. The full moon was out the other night, and I took my husband out to a little bridge and we played some music under the moon and we danced and it was nice at midnight. Do some things that you are in control of. You'll be surprised how they will lift your spirit in times of feeling helpless. And reach out. Know that you're not alone. Look to your team members.
That's really great advice. Someone just left
I'll be thinking of you for sure. I feel the tug.
Someone left a quick comment saying, "What does service mean to me?" It shows that team in long-term care homes are doing so much. They support the residents with their different needs, social, psychological, quality of life, clinical care. So all that we should be considering when we think of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So we are at the 20-minute mark. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this morning. And our next webinar in the series will run the same time next week. So that's Friday, May 15th at 11 a.m. And would you mind just flipping to the next slide there again?
Sure.
Thank you. And here's some ways that you can connect with us at the Ontario CLRI. And just a quick reminder that this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our website within the next week, but likely sooner. And there's also a brief evaluation survey at the end that should pop up when the webinar closes. It's voluntary and it should take about 3 to 5 minutes to complete, and you can skip any questions or abandon it at any moment. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye.